Well, folks, Bloodline has gone and done it. This little sprite named Bulko is going to completely reshape the meta, and a number of heroes have gotten a lot worse because of this. But a number of heroes have gotten a lot better. So I'm going to share with you the 8 heroes that are better with Bulko. But first, download Dungeon Hunter 6, a mobile free-to-play action RPG game where you play as a bounty hunter in a stunning dark fantasy open world. Play as a mage, warrior, assassin, monk, or zephyr, customize your own weapons, and summon companions to aid you in battle. Use the link in the description to start playing now on iOS or Android, and see you hopefully soon. Alright, so before you watch this video, make sure to go catch my other video covering Bulko, because I already did an extensive breakdown of this new sprite and the skill and how it's just going to reshape the meta and what it could look like going forward. And we're still just in the discovery phase right now, so I don't think anybody really knows what the future meta is going to look like, but I do hope to be able to provide you with a starting point today with these 8 heroes that I'm going to cover and how they are going to be better because of Bulko's skill. But I think 2 main strategies are going to form out of what Bulko is doing, which, just to summarize, is going to prevent your opponent from using their ultimate within the first 10 seconds. But also, when everybody gets Bulko, because I think anybody who wants to keep competing in Bloodline is going to have to, they're going to prevent you from using your ultimate. So it's going to be basically just mirror matches of nobody gets to use the ults in the first 10 seconds of the match. So strategy 1 that I think people will gravitate towards is trying to find heroes and skills, active skills and passives that kill your opponent before the 10 seconds goes off. In fact, I think that's going to be a lot of people's goals, because then the ultimates don't matter at all. Which is kind of sad, right? Because that's like a whole skill. Anyway, who's to say that strategy is going to win out, though? The other strategy is actually the exact opposite of that. And that is to drag the 10 seconds out and stay alive until you get there. And then you have the better ultimates and they go off. And despite the RNG, because when you hit that 10-second point, it's going to be like a coin flip of whose heroes go off and in what order and stuff like that. And we've been able to control that a lot up to this point, but not anymore. However, with this strategy, which is probably going to involve heroes like female Galabar or female Tide Razor that do a lot of healing and prevent the opponent from really doing a lot and attacking and kind of controlling what's going on in the battlefield. And then you unleash your more powerful ultimates. And this is where I think Male Water and Sun would probably go away if strategy 1 takes over, but in strategy 2 can stick around, because if Male Water and Sun has the best ultimate in the game, which he does without Bulko, but if you can keep the whole team alive until you get to the point where Male Water and Sun goes off, obviously you want to have the best ultimate in the game. You can probably build a strategy around just surviving to Male Water and Sun, right? However, just to go back to strategy 1, if that's the more powerful option, Male Water and Sun is probably done. I'm just saying. All of his power is in that ultimate. And if teams are going to die before they get to the 10 seconds, he doesn't do anything. And it is a completely new meta, a restart. So let's take a look at these 8 heroes. The first one we're going to look at is actually the brand new ones that we just got. I also did a video covering them, so make sure to check them out. And that is the Kivak clan. And I'm not going to cover them all over again here and go over their skills or anything. I just want to highlight about them that their passive and active skill are the best thing going on for them. Their ultimate actually only facilitates what the passive and the active are already doing. So make sure to go watch my video on this. I still think they're a little bit of a mystery, but with this new Bulko meta, it's going to be really interesting testing them out and see how they are in PvP. At number 7, we have female Galabar, and I think that she was starting to go to the wayside as we got Male Corbett along with Male Water and Sun and Phoenix that just destroy opponents so fast. Unfortunately, female Galabar had been getting to the point where she just couldn't keep the team alive through that. But she's back, baby. She is back, and here's why. If the meta is going to have the 2 strategies that I had mentioned at the beginning of this video happening at the same time, we're going to lose the healing of male Water and Sun. He's the best healer in the game. But female Galabar is probably the second best healer in the game, both with her passive here and the active. And so here's where I could see us finding a way to make up for that lost healing if you're going for some kind of longevity strategy. Now, if the second strategy works, where you can just keep your team alive to the best ultimate, then male Water and Sun will stick around, and you probably need a female Galabar in order to get to that point. You just need to survive, and she's going to be a big part of that. At number 6, we have male Sagaric, and I think people know male Sagaric's good, but I still think people underestimate male Sagaric. He's just a really good assassin. He deals a ton of damage, and he gets to really hard to deal with champions on the board. But let's take a look at the passive and the active here, because these were already like the best parts of what he did, and now he's gonna do this and shine without ultimates really going off. So first of all, the passive here inflicts a layer of bleeding that's causing the opponent to lose constitution, so you can get behind a really big like HP champion and just be doing a lot of damage like this. And so this bleeding effect does stack, and then we have the active skill here where he charges behind the nearest enemy target, dealing damage to them and all enemies along the path. So I don't know if you've ever seen this effect actually play out, but he like zooms through the enemies, dealing a ton of damage. It's kind of area of effect damage. And then targets receive an additional damage up to 45% or more of their lost constitution, capped at 1200% of the caster's strength. When you see male Sagaric dealing a lot of damage, it's really due to the passive and the active. And then here's the good part. He gets behind some of the opponents that are hard to reach sometimes. And then if he lives to the 10 seconds, which he's going to be a big part of the reason why your opponents wouldn't, so he probably would go with strategy 1. But if you get to the 10 seconds and he's alive, then his ultimate goes off, and he's going to deal a lot of damage, potentially killing an opponent whose ultimate could kill you before they kill you. So if you're going with strategy 1, the super aggressive fast strategy, and you're up against like a tanky strategy that maybe has the male Water and Sun, maybe he kills the male Water and Sun before the ultimate's even able to go off. Number 5 on the list is male Corbett, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Not only are the passive and active specials good, but the trait is really awesome. Increases the champion's crit damage by 130% for 15 seconds when the battle starts. This effect is not stackable. So whenever a champion has this, and actually you probably just want this trait to be on a number of heroes, if you're going for the fast aggressive strategy, you're probably going to want a male Corbett, and you're going to want this trait because it's going to deal a lot of damage in the meantime while you're waiting for that 10 seconds to be over, and you might actually just kill your opponent before you get there. Let's take a look at the active and the passive. So each normal attack steals 3.4% of the target's strength and converts it into the caster's own strength for 7 seconds, which is, may I point out, most of the 10 seconds. For each 2% additional strength gained in the battle, the champion's damage dealt increases by 2%, capped at 40%, and crit rate by 2%, capped at 20%. The boost effect also applies to all allied champions. Do you see it? You want these passives that are going to affect all allied champions, but with 80% conversion rate and the same cap. So things we're looking for now in passives and actives. Things that are affecting every allied champion or every opposing enemy. So do keep that in mind here. This was already an extremely powerful passive. But also his active lands a quick normal attack upon all enemy champions in the battlefield, area of effect damage. With the active skill, this is not even an ultimate, this is an active skill. Dealing damage, dealing additional damage equal to 13% of the enemy's current constitution, capped at 1000% of the caster strength, and that damage can get really high, by the way. The caster then moves behind the enemy with the highest strength, stabbing them 3 times, dealing damage equal to 480% of the caster's strength and inflicting silence for 3 seconds. Also restores the caster's constitution by 30% of the damage dealt. He's doing everything with his passive and his active skill. And I think this times out perfectly with Bulko, because let's say he dashes behind whoever has the highest strength, and then silences them right around the time of the 10-second ultimate being unleashed. Right now everybody's ultimates are here, but you've got a silenced hero on the other side that has the highest strength. Now you're targeting, making sure the opponent's unable to use their ultimate skills if you actually reach that point. So this is actually hurting strategy number 2 quite a bit to use this, and you probably want him in strategy 1 where you're trying to be hyper aggressive. At number 4, male Ascavarge is a known quantity in Bloodline at the moment. He is not a plug and play hero. You don't just stick him in any team and he's good. He needs to be built around. But we're going to see him be built around in this new Bulko meta, and here's why. Because on the passive here, you have another one that is affecting all allies within the aura here. And so all of their movement speed is increased. And remember, if you're trying to damage your opponent and kill them before the 10 seconds, then increasing their movement speed within the aura, if you can get everybody bunched together, means faster attacks, and it also means active skills going off quicker and things like that. That's what you really, really want. And he's got another effect here that I think is going to be a good one to look at in this Bulko meta, and that is taunt. If you can taunt your opponents within the first 10 seconds, I think that's an ability that could be used both in strategy 1, the hyper aggressive strategy, and strategy 2, the tanky strategy, because in the aggressive one, if you're taunting your opponent in the first 10 seconds, they're unable to use their active skills. They're only like doing normal attacks in that time, and yet you're using all your active skills and they can't do anything about it. They could die before 10 seconds. Or you could also use this in the tanky strategy, because what you're doing is taunting your opponent so that they can't kill your team within the 10 seconds, and you're betting on having the better ultimates whenever that 10 seconds ends. So when they all start to go off at the end, you win. At number 3, we have Sunbolt, and I've already been really high on Sunbolt. I don't know what it is about her, but she just wins. Like, I plug and play her in teams, and she's having a big effect. And like, it's hard for me to see in the video when I rewatch it exactly what is happening here. I just know when I test with and without her, it's better with her in a lot of cases. So she was already really good. She's a Bloodcraft champion worth going after. And this is also one of the first Bloodcraft champions we have that is really focused around the passive and the active. And so with the passive here, you can see we got some really small text here, and the numbers are going to change depending on how much you have it leveled up. But when an enemy's constitution drops below 50%, the champion teleports behind them and hunts them down until they die. And during that time, the caster takes 25% less damage from other enemies. See, so this is really important if you can get like a really hyper aggressive strategy going, and then you can protect yourself during that time. Becoming immune to control skills, so now you're not being stunned or taunted. Ignores fortitude when dealing damage. Each normal attack increases the caster's attack speed by 20%. Attack speed is going to become really important in this. We were all starting to kiss Agile goodbye as we were getting a lot of other clan traits we were trying to shove into all of our heroes, but welcome it back, because things like focused don't matter anymore. But here you have a hero that's increasing attack speed, which is going to be really powerful. And then while pursuing the target's energy recovery decreases by 47%, and the caster will recover 25% of their max constitution. So again, you have another healing effect here, kind of like female Galabar for herself. But these healing effects are going to be important. Any kind of preventing damage during this 10-second time, anything that is going to control your opponent through like taunt or stuns. And then here we have the active skill creating a 6-second lightning shield that blocks damage equal to 8.6% of the caster's max constitution. When the shield's active, it releases lightning at nearby enemies, dealing damage equal to 503%. So you want that shield up, and if the shield's broken by the enemy, all nearby enemies are stunned for 2 seconds. So you've got that control effect here too. You bring the shield up to deal a lot of damage, then you break it. Hopefully it's breaking around, again, that 10-second time. So if you can time this right, the shield breaks, the enemies are stunned as the 10-second goes off. They can't cast their ultimates while you just finish them off with yours. She's going to be a really good one in this meta. At number 2, we have another amazing Bloodcraft champion who's just getting even better because of Bulko, and that is Phoenix. Let's take a look at her passive, which you'll remember is the execution effect. And she really came to prominence back in the female Davala days because female Davala was nearly impossible to kill at high vigor levels until she got nerfed. But Phoenix came in and just killed her straight away with this. However, sometimes I would get frustrated with Phoenix's ultimate going off when I really wanted the execution effect. When I knew the opponent could just die, there she is setting off her ultimate and it's just delaying things. But now we got a free 10 seconds of just this straight up execution effect, free and clear. You're guaranteed that it's going to be going off within that 10 seconds. No worries, right? That actually makes the execution effect even better. All right. And then the active skill, which I think people underrate this active skill. When you look at all the damage that Phoenix deals, a lot of it is because of this, where she launches 3 Firebirds in a fan-shaped area, and then they return to the original position. They go out about 7 meters, whatever that means in the game, right? But you can see in animation what they feel like is 7 meters. And deals damage equal to some percent. Right now, I have it at skill 14, which is 241% damage to the enemy targets. And then it does a couple more things here. It says that you gain 20% of the damage dealt as health. I don't know about that one actually working, but she's supposed to heal a little bit. And the champion also becomes immune to control effects when casting the skill. There's also a stun mixed in there too, just for good measure. But being immune to control effects is actually one of the most important things about this active skill. Remember, I said one of the strategies is going to be that tanky controlling strategy where they're trying to stay alive through things like taunts and stuns. Just, you know, there's now like a knockdown effect. There's all kinds of control effects. And so you're going to want to be immune to those within the first 10 seconds if you're trying to be fast. And lastly, at number 1, I am really excited about this one to test it out and see how this goes. It is Male Almat. Now, Male Almat is another one who I think people know is good, but is probably even better than they're giving him credit for. The passive says, upgrades with a max of 2 times. Whenever the caster deals accumulated damage equal to 30% of their max constitution. Before upgrading, the caster's normal attacks can deal additional damage to the target equal to 16.6% of the target's lost constitution, capped at 1,000% of the champion's strength. Here, he's dealing a massive amount of damage through his passive skill, which is why he's really a great PvE type of hero. But anyway, with 1 upgrade, normal attacks can deal damage to all enemies within a fan-shaped area in front of the caster. This is area of effect damage through a passive skill. Remember, we want to be hitting as many opponents as we possibly can with damage and control effects while we are applying positive effects to our entire team if possible. With 2 upgrades, normal attacks will mark the target for 4 seconds. If the marked target is killed during that period, the caster will become invincible for 2 seconds. And that's just the passive. The active. Side sweeps nearby enemies dealing damage equal to 452.1% or higher. Again, leveling up the skill. Remember, those numbers will change. Of the caster's strength. In the next 5 seconds, affected targets will take additional damage from the Eye of Horus whenever they take normal attack damage from allied champions. All allied champions. Champions plural. All right? So what you're going to want to do with him is find a way to bunch all the opponents in one spot. And then he's going to deal a massive amount of damage himself, but he's also going to empower your team through their normal attacks. I think this guy has the potential to be the linchpin of a number of Bulko aggressive strategies that try to kill the opponent before that 10-second is over. I am leaning towards there being strategies where you kill your opponent in 10 seconds just based off the passives or the actives being the stronger strategy for now. But we shall see. Because if people trend that way, we might also be entering a rock, paper, scissors type of meta where, let's say you've got Male Alma and Phoenix and you just pile in these other heroes that are meant to be dealing damage fast through their passives and actives. Well, then teams are going to start to load up on a bunch of tanky heroes and just have one really good ultimate hero in there to kind of take over the game. So, which strategy is going to be better? It is hard to tell at this moment, and it is going to require a lot of testing, and I am excited for that testing, as I hope you are. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I will catch you in the next one.